Hello, friends. My name's John Klein III with episode 186 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, your premier Kitty Pryde, Lockheed, and Magic podcast. And today we're going to review Giant Size House of M, Fantastic Four versus X-Men 3, Exceptional X-Men 11, and Age of Revelation 0. So let's get into it. Sometimes you just get a comic book made specifically for you, and that's how Giant Size House of M feels to me. During House of M 5 that came out in 2005? Yeah, because it's the 20th anniversary of the series. Um, like we see Leia Miller awaken Kitty Pryde in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then Kitty just shows up in New York, and it's like, well, what happened? And he's like, you just fill in the space in your mind of like, well, clearly they caught up real fast and then moved on. But now we get the full story. Or, I mean, it has to be the story. But Miss Marvel went back in time. Well, I guess it's not how the initial story went, but time travel. This is where we're at. Kamala Khan goes back in time. She sees Kitty Pryde, who she's a huge fan of, that we've seen in Champions episode Volume 4, episode issue 4, where she originally meets Pirate Kate Pryde. And immediately he's like, "You're Shadowcat." She's like, "Oh, you can call me Captain K Pride." And it's like, "Well, fantastic." And then, of course, Miss Marvel turns out she's a mutant. And then in Hellfire Gala 2023, the events of the second mutant massacre occurred, and she joins the X-Men with Shadowcat, and who is going through a very dark time, just on a murderous rampage of Orcus. So maybe a righteous rampage of Orcus. And she just she meets a different a different Miss Pride, as she meets here in this one. So the previous issue, Age of Apocalypse, Miss Marvel wishes that she could go to a mutant utopia, but not the mutant island utopia. And all of a sudden they go to the House of M, which is a mutant utopia, the universe that, or the alternate timeline that the Scarlet Witch created. And um, so in Kitty's dream paradise, she teaches kids who have no danger of dying ever, which I think is a pretty great turn for her. And Miss Marvel shows up. She protects a human who's at an all mutant school, or a co-ed school, but clearly mutants being the dominant species as opposed to the endangered species. She like defends the student, makes an awesome Mean Girls reference to Regina George. That took me a second to be like, oh, is Regina a character of Miss Marvel? It's like, no, it's Regina George. Like, you know this. You're not that old. And the student goes like, oh, Miss Pride's gonna be so mad at me every time she defends me, and she's like, hold up, Miss Pride. And then like Miss Marvel runs in the room like, Kitty, you know me. And it's like, oh, Kitty does not know you. And they team up. Or Kitty's like, hey, I think there's a professional you should talk to. They walk out of the room, and there's Scott Summers and Leah Miller. Remember when we loved Leah Miller and Peter David's early X Factor investigations? And Leah Miller just knows stuff, and then zaps Kitty Pryde. She realizes, this whole universe is a lie, and goes to New York to as they're going to kill Scarlet Witch, which if they had followed Emma's advice in House of M1 pre timeline change, it would never have happened. Mutants wouldn't have been decimated, and there's a what if for you. So they go, Kitty, and they know about Legion, and of course Scott knows about all this, the giant size arrival of Miss Marvel. And so I gotta say, I just love Miss Marvel. Like I have a whole list of like, once I somehow make my way through the inexpensive Lockheed variant covers, I want to get through Mile High. No, I'm sorry, my comic shop's eBay account. I just wanted to start chipping out Miss Marvel because she only has so many appearances where she's opposite Magic or Kitty or Kate Pride. And so And we're really hoping at the end of this, which the next issue is Giant Size 2, that has Lockheed on the cover, and he's on the cover of this issue, but no Lockheed in any of this, so that's disappointing. But he's on the cover. It was Elsa M. I was like, I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna buy this, and then immediately in the previews was like, "Hey, Miss, she teams up with Kitty Pryde," and I was like, "Well, I'm glad I pre-ordered this." Which doing pre-orders, discussing pre-orders as I just was. I just changed my comic cover to Deadpool and Batman in October from the Jeff the Shark and Crypto the Superdog to the Artemis, I think is the name, cover of Dead with Magic and Catwoman. And so I'm like, well, now that's in the collection. Like, thank you. And it was only like the 430 cover price. So I was like, fantastic. This is all I want from this book. Thank you. Catwoman and Magic is an interesting comment like pair though. Because I know someone on like Twitter was talking about Magic and Wonder Woman, and I was like, oh, yeah, I always just think of Wonder Woman's too big for Magic, but I'm like, Magic's like high in the Marvel pantheon, or at least in the comics. Like I don't know, movie wise, people would be like the girl from that one movie. Like yeah, yeah, but ideally huge in the comics. Like in all the animation or all the games, are waiting for her in Fortnite. She'll be perfect in there with her Soul Sword pickaxe. What do we do for a glider? Just have her open up a portal and then glide through it. I don't know how you do it. Or before she lands, she opens up a portal. They'll figure it out. And one day, hopefully, we can play Marvel Rivals. I know this computer I use to record this keeps telling me that I won't be able to use Zoom for much longer, which I'm like, shoot, I sort of like the idea of using, recording this, which, hey, everyone who's watching this on YouTube, thanks for supporting the previous video. Made me feel compelled to keep trying this. I'm really liking it. I'm in our downstairs with my wall drug poster. And it's working out. Turns out I this laptop has a built-in microphone and camera, which I'm like, oh, I don't need all this other gizmos. All right. And so anyways, that's coming out. I'm super excited. Um and where were we? Oh yeah, so Legion, who's not David Haller, because ever since in the comics he was like, don't call me Legion. I've been trying to respect that. He's respect people's name changes. And so and this is just the empty shell of Legion. And he finds Scarlet Witch, says no more mutants, but he says it with her, which is like, all right. And then they come back. The whole world's decimated, of course. Though some people are super excited about it, I'm sure. And Kitty's distraught because why does this happen to them? Can't she not just teach students who are not going to die or get depowered outside their own control? He destroys a baseball bat. We get a great that whole sequence is like 3 pages of amazing comics with Miss Marvel and her, and it just it's like I just love Kitty Pryde, and then I'm really loving Miss Marvel, who one could argue is the Kitty Pryde or the current introductory character, and yeah, it's just like great. And then of course, there's a moment where Scott says, "Hey, do you know this was going to happen?" Because at one point, Miss Marvel does say like, "Oh, post that's return to the present of 2005 Marvel." She's like, "This is M Day," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure people don't just go around being like, hey, remember Scarlet Witch was the reason of M Day? Like there was a thing we call House of M." Like, what do comic book characters refer to things? Like Mutant Massacre probably does get called that. Phoenix Saga probably gets called that, but they're not calling Krakoa Giant Size X Men. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. Or Battle of the Atoms, the one that I was having the thought about in the shower a while ago. Like, why would they even call it Battle of the Atom? Because they got the past, present, and future X-Men fighting a future version of the Brotherhood. So it's a battle of the children of the atom, or as we like to call it, the battle of the atom. Like, I don't think that works. Great name for a podcast though. Um and so yeah, and so but Scott asks her if she was known about this. And it's not like when you join the Avengers, I'm sure at one point you don't just hang out at the mansion or facility or wherever the Avengers are. I don't read the Avengers. They, you just sit at a laptop and just type in, the home computer system. Like, let me look up, all the cool events I love. Like, are there? I don't know, I think about the in-universe world of comics, like Marvel, so much of like, like there's got to be a Marvel fandom for like X-Men fandom that just has what they can piece together of like appearances. Like there was a speech during X-Men 198 where Val Cooper is addressing people on camera. Scott's there, Kitty Pryde's there. It's the astonishing X-Men team, Lockheed, and they all, so people know like, oh yeah, that girl over there, that's the X-Men Shadowcat, I believe is her name, and we know her powers are these things. And it'd be like all vaguely correct. And then, maybe Cypher at one point didn't when his internet addiction phase was like, I'm gonna update all this stuff. And they're like, we wish you didn't do that. Anyway, so oh yeah, and then they end it with well, how are we gonna get you to your president? She's like, oh, Beast has a time machine, which we know he does from, the Bendis era all new X-Men, ironically featuring the past X-Men. I'm sure people talked about it during that time. Beast is like, I was gonna tell you about it, and then they're gonna go to the future or our present. And that's where we're going to end on that. The cover does have Kitty in her exceptional blue costume with Lockheed. And so I'm pot committed now. But let's do Fantastic Four X-Men 3, which did not come out, or the Fantastic Four movies next weekend. So I'm hoping we can go watch it, but I don't know. But see if we can do this for the screen cap. Fantastic Four X-Men, Fantastic Four versus X-Men, excuse me, issue 3. All right. This came out in April 1987. It would have cost you 150 pennies or 175 cans. It came out in April 1987. I'm sure I just said that. Inside cover ad is for M&M's. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand. In quotations. So I'm like, all right. Written by Chris Claremont, penciler John Bogdanove, inker Terry Austin, letterer Tom Ostrowski, colorist Glynis Oliver, and Nocenti editor, consulting editor Don Daly, Jim Shooter, editor in chief, RIP. And you can follow along on my TikTok and YouTube channels at Jacko SII. We're reaching everyone on YouTube who've been subscribing. We're close to 600, and we hit 500 on TikTok not too long ago, and it just feels great. We're gaining viewers, so thank you everyone. By the Soul's Darkest Light, Castle Doom Lacteria, and Doctor Doom's being a doctor is being Storm's doctor, healing her from Johnny Storm's burns. Wolverine Magneto nod grim agreement to Psylocke's bitter, angry words. All three are focusing total concentration on their host, not trusting Doom a whit more than they absolutely have to. Meanwhile, on the parapet outside, the mutant team's younger members take in the spectacular sights. We see Havoc, Dazzler, and Longshot taking in the sights. And the sights are Doombots, but they have. I guess I could show you, right? These guys. They're oh, they don't look like Doctor Doom except for in the face mask, and they have like hawk wings and hawk heads, I suppose. Unauthorized, uncodified biological contact entering castle security zone. Scans identify intruder as an enhanced power being. Oh, that's just what they're saying. So they're attacking Rogue, who's just having a fun fly around. Unaware of the stir she's creating up ahead, Rogue returns to the castle from an impromptu shopping trip to the various castle. But you think that once they were in the country and Doom's like, be my guest, DNA, right? The scan them, been like, yeah, they're cool. Poor Worm's new Worms. Poor Rogue's new outfit just gets shredded by all the firing blasts, so that's not great. Havoc metabolizes cosmic energy. Dazzler, on the other hand, converts sound to light, all colors, all forms. The ultimate expression of that power is a laser. So they're fighting. And the Doom comes out with Storm on his hand, which is fun. And she's been healed. High above in her tower is the reason for the X-Men's presence here. The team's youngest member, Kitty Pryde, watched over by her pet dragon, Lockheed. She was grievously wounded in a fierce battle with a band of mutant-powered marauders in X-Men 211, Innocente. Thank you. Like her fellow X-Men, she is a mutant born with incredible parahuman abilities. She can phase herself through solid objects. Unfortunately, now she can't turn that power off. She's effectively become a living ghost. Worse, her condition is progressive. The molecules of her body drifting farther and farther apart. Doctor Doom offered to save me. I want to live, but not at any price. I won't let the X-Men place themselves in his debt for me. Summoning, focusing her entire will, Shadowcat phases free from the life support cell that's been keeping her alive. Lockheed's shock. Kitty's or Franklin's not thrilled. He's like, Kitty, this is easier than I thought. Should have tried it long ago. Wish I could say goodbye. Probably better I don't. The boy is Franklin Richards, and he isn't really here in any physical sense. His body, asleep at home in New York, is a psycho projection. Where are you going? What are you doing? She doesn't see him, doesn't hear him. She has eyes only for the morning star. And Lockheed looks distressed, as does Franklin. It's really beautiful. I'll wait for sunrise, then relax my concentration, let my molecules float free on the wind. That'd be nice. Which reminds me of that X-Men Unlimited Volume 2, maybe issue 3 or 5. 5 might be the Lady X-Men, the X-Ladies going down, and they're all referencing their horrible first dates, and Kitty has one about Colossus. It's horrible. And they're trying to calm Storm down, who's in a sinking ship, like submarine, and they're trying to just liven the mood up. But the other issue, there's a boy with phasing powers who we're led to believe, like on a Tuesday, learn he can phase. On a Thursday, does not know how to unphase and is slowly just evaporating. Very touching story. I think about it. I guess whenever I think about Kitty Pryde and how her natural face state is being unfazed. It'll hurt. Hope it's quick. Please, God, don't be mad. Don't let my folks and friends be sad. This is for the best. And Franklin's like, no, Kitty, come back. You can't give up. My daddy will save you. I'll make him. This is wrong. Do this bad thing. If you go away, your mama and papa will be crying. Aurora, Mr. Wolverine will too. Look at me. Listen to me, please. And Lockheed's like, roar! And the X-Men are like, huh? And Psylocke reaches out. Kitty, child, what? What's it look like, Psylocke? Come on, give me a break. Get out of my head. Leave me alone. You can't stop me. That beautiful butterfly lady sounds very upset. Kitty isn't listening to her. She won't let her help. Then the X-Men race up. Franklin's just in tears now. There's no one else. The X-Men turned to Reed Richards first. I had to save her, but he refused. She's so far along. This ledge is so small up high. Suppose I slip. I don't know what happens if Franklin's dream self slips. I imagine he just wakes up, right? Like we all have done that thing where, like, I don't know, you jump from an airplane, you're dreaming, the next like you wake up and you actually like hit the bed, and it's like, well, what was happening? What does happen in that scenario? It's not like he just woke up and like pressed down harder in the bed. Like, right? He must have a good reason. But Mr. Fantastic said to be the most brilliant mind on Earth, able to solve any problem. What made mine so special? Why does Doctor Doom have to be my only hope? Kitty, turn around, take my hand, everything be okay. I promise you'll be better and you'll be happy, and the X-Men be happy, and my mama and papa will be happy. The special dream I had won't come true. The nasty book won't destroy the Fantastic Four or the X-Men. You all won't fight. You all won't die. He's crying, but um, she can't grab his hand for two reasons. He's not really there, and she's slowly phasing away. So you're so fuzzy, I can't see you. Wow, what a sight. Last time I'll see it or anything. This isn't fair. I'm scared, Kitty. It's so cold. Please, oh please, oh please. And you think Lockheed would be like, hey kid, don't do this. Don't leave me alone. Who's yelling? Hey, I know that little boy. Franklin Richards. How'd you get here? Why are you crying? don't go, don't go, go, don't go, 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 go. And Kitty just, in all of her heart goes. And we get this lovely panel of Franklin and Kitty and Lockie just being like, you know, comforting. She's back in the box or the chamber. Crisis averted. Doom's there. He's ready to begin. Dawn in Lacteria, the witching hour in New York, where a lonely man, growly suddenly old and weary beyond words, prowls the empty cavernous halls of the building. That's a monument. There's a monument to his genius and a mockery of it. He cannot sleep. Worse, he cannot think. The diamond brilliance of his mind is dulled, keen edges blunted. For the first time in his life, Reed Richards doesn't know what to do. He is lost, uncertain, without focus or purpose. And he goes to wake up Sue, but realizes he shouldn't. And then she notices he doesn't wake her up, and she starts crying. He finds Reed, or he finds Franklin, and he starts crying. And Franklin's trying to console him. This was a very fine copy copy of the comic I got, most likely from Mile High Comics, and you can see where the ridges of this page got whatever folded or something, but hence the cheaper version. And Reed tries to cheer up Franklin. He turns his stretchy powers into an elephant, so that's cute. And Sue falls in love with him again. Meanwhile, in Latveria, and their X-Men are just fighting each other, Danger Room style, at Doctor Doom's castle. Manhattan. He doesn't know how long he's been walking, but as usual, his steps have brought him home to the Lower East Side and the street where his life began. All the while, memories collide with reality. What was doing battle with what is? Ben Grimm, college gridiron star, war hero, ace test pilot, prize chump, whose best friend betrayed that trust and destroyed his life. And so he's just at a bar, he's ordering some food, people are staring at him. He's just classic Grimm sulking. A truck catches on or is overturned. He tries to help out, just clothes get destroyed. He gets kissed by a lady he saved. Johnny Storm goes home to Alicia Masters, and she's actually the squirrel Elijah, Johnny's ex-girlfriend, so it's very complicated. Then they're hugging. Then we see Franklin get put back to bed. Reed's talking to Sue. Latveria. And Doom is getting ready to do the experiment. Lockheed looks very annoyed at Doom. And Kitty is just in her chamber. And then Reed, the family comes together. They're going to work together. And that's the end of the issue. And so Reed, the Fantastic Four are going to go back to Latveria and see what they can figure out. What else do we got going on here? Oh yeah, Exceptional X-Men 11. The kids, Melee, Bronze, and Axel are in Chicago as they do. There's a bench with a portal on it, or like some type of electric flame. And Ironheart shows up, and we see Ironheart shows up, and then the portal opens up, and it's from Ironheart issue 6, where it was Ironheart versus Tank, which is the first issue of Ironheart I ever read because X Force had a tank, and people are like, well, maybe it's this guy. And it turns out it wasn't the guy, it was Colossus. And so Ironheart said, I'm going to keep investigating this. You guys go do a mutant meeting. And they're like, we're not always going to mutant meetings. And it turns out they were heading to a mutant meeting. So it's like, whoa, that's awkward. And they would celebrate their team for anniversary as it hasn't been a year, which it seems like instead of doing all that awkwardness, you think they would have just made it welcome to the X-Men and then have a second kick that says hope you survive the experience. And Kitty has to leave as she's got to talk to Nina. And Nina as Nina left something in her apartment, and it turns out what Kitty's returning is Nina's toothbrush that she's like, oh, you forgot this. And it's like, oh, Kitty, you're so new to relationships. she left it on purpose. She plans to, still be over there and come back regularly, ideally. And it makes me realize that Kitty's never really dated anymore. She didn't live with them immediately. Like even Peter Quill, they lived together on the Milano, and Pete Wisdom and Muir Island. Like they just there's always toothbrushes, but for a reason, this freaked her out, or she didn't think connect the two things. She's never seen a sitcom or anything, but I do like how she got Nina her toothbrush in a nice little gift box. Like that's nice. But Nina's like, "What are we?" And Kitty's like, "Well, we should probably answer that, but not right now. Let me think of what we are." But it's like I don't know. I just like there's more and more chances where Nina, like, I guess Kitty's thinking they're dating more casually, and Nina's probably just like, "Yeah, you're my girlfriend. Like, well, what are we doing now? Like, this shouldn't have been weird." And then Kitty's just walking in the park, just not knowing like what does it mean, like what is everything, and she's just frustrated. She's at a crossroads, which I thought paired well with Giant Size House of M, where she's at a crossroads there, and but we do know where the House of M Kitty goes. Well, it's just space. She doesn't know that yet, but and then we know next issue she's going to be back in time to the beginning of the Dark Phoenix saga, which is awkward as that's where Miss Marvel just was. But we'll see how that all works out. And then Age of Revelation Zero came out. I'm going to get my copy in September. Uh, it's a quick preview of the Age of Revelation series, where Doug Ramsey's the heir of Apocalypse. He is going to, like, he wants to destroy the Grey Malkin prison. And Cyclops is like, well, I think, it's more complicated that we can't just do that. And then one of Doug's new powers is to just switch someone's mind. And Cyclops is like, yep, we're going to go. And it's disastrous, we learn. And Magic dies, but the Dark Child doesn't. And so that's interesting. And so we know that during the Age of Revelation, we should get a series of Magic and we should get something with Kitty Pryde in it, right? But they've already announced all the titles, and I'm gonna go in the order that I'm most interested in. But it's this cool list, and um, first is Expatriate X Men, which is this title that's gonna have Melee, Bronze, Drift. Who I should have mentioned, Exceptional X Men 11 is a boy that Bronze likes from her theater, and he likes her, but in a classic moment, they don't talk to each other, so they don't know. Iron Frost at 2, which is the Iron Man Emma Frost title. Oh, and this takes place X years in the future, which we know means 10 years in the future. X Avengers, which is Danny Moonstar leading the Avengers, so hopefully once we revert back that we do have Danny in a proper leadership position. Cannonball's on there, and there's other Avengers who are more traditional Avengers, and they're all various um, radioactive. Because in this future, like Mpox from the Inhumans versus X Men, it's the X virus, and they're just causing X Men or mutants everywhere because of the 3K X Men or the evil group, the 3K. Cloak or Dagger, which is Cloak or Dagger married, and they can't exist in the same plane at the same time, which seems awkward. Book of Revelation, which seems to be the main series. Uh, Fabian Cortez, the Starscream of the X Men, is um, trying to work with Doug as his second in command, but because he's the Starscream, he's going to cause issues. There is a Ghost of Philadelphia where the book takes place, and I'm wondering if the Dark Child is the Ghost of Philadelphia. Because spoilers, none of these they've released the creative teams, and it's just none of them stay outright Magic's the cast member of this. And Kitty Pryde's not an ex parte X Men either, but that's written by Evie Wing. So, which I should have said, she was the writer of the Ironheart miniseries or series. Um, so it's fun that she was able to use Ironheart. I wish the heck comic had came out in the last 2 weeks when it could have been swept up in the Hey kids, if you like Ironheart, check her out in Exceptional X-Men 11. But Amazing X-Men, which is Cyclops' team. Oh yeah, and Revelation Zero ends with, "Hey, when my past self comes up, we got to get him all the information so he can go back in time." Because Cyclops does have a lot of experience with time travel. And so Amazing X-Men, one of the the 3K X-Men, the leader of them in the future, now working with Cyclops team. Long shots where it's Jonathan Hickman back, and they're in Mojo World. Wonder Man's there, so Wonder Man dies, sure. Rogue and Storm, which is written by the Storm writer, has Storm going crazy, and Rogue has to have a Black Ops team to go after Storm. So it's like, all right, Laura Kinney, Sabretooth, which I have a suspicion that like things are so bad in the future, she no longer feels she's responsible for or able to be a Wolverine, so go Sabretooth. Unbreakable X-Men, which is Gambit, and either plus two X-Men or three X-Men. And it's the Gail Simone book. So hopefully one of those two is Kalikio and Jitter. Binary, written by Stephanie Phillips, and that's going to be the one that's I'm thinking is Carol Danvers in her binary form infused by the Phoenix. But we'll see. Radioactive Spider-Man, where he has four extra arms, but there are various lengths and humanness. So that's interesting. Sinister Six, where it's Sinister Six people. Black Cat's one of them. She looks very much like Hesba. Spyro's maybe one of them. I don't know. I was like, it's Sinister. I don't care. On Deadpool, where his healing factor's gone in so extreme that he is now a walking zombie. Zero interest. The Last Wolverine, where it's Leonard from the opening issues of Wolverine Volume 8. Where he got cured, but I guess at one point he became the Wendigo again. And he's the last Wolverine, sure. Kid Omega, Quentin Quire is running a group of new telepaths, and you're like Kid Omega, sure. But yeah, no magic and no Kitty Pride. So October it's gonna be very cheap for me. Which if I can keep it pretty cheap, I want to add these four appearances of Miss Marvel that DCBS still has a copy of, and we'll find out when solicitations come out this week. Which I do a website post every time for solicitations where on the home of the podcast, shadowandflameofmagic.com. And what comes out next week? We have Psylocke 9, which slowly ending. Uncanny X-Men 18. Emma Frost White Queen 2. Doom's Division 5, which I believe is the final issue. And it has Karma in it. Very little Karma. Jeff the Land Shark 2, which he's fighting like a Nega Jeff the Shark. And then Phoenix 13, Storm 10, West Coast Avengers 9, and Wolverine 11. And yeah, that's the episode. I had an issue, which is Zoom. I don't know. This laptop I'm using apparently is nearly full, so I don't know what to do about that. But I'm going to try to upload the two videos that I had to separate and delete a bunch of things. I only got like 1 GB left, so I don't know. I got to figure it out. But thank you everyone for watching and listening. And follow me on Jacko's III, where most social media is. I'm going to find more images from the comic Fantastic Four versus X-Men to put on the podcast of shows at S and FWM. And spelt out. And thank you everyone for participating and or consuming the podcast, either however you do that. And I will talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.